So the subject name is fluid mechanics. So first you understand what is the meaning of the fluid mechanics. So fluid mechanics, it's a combination of two words, fluid and the mechanics. Okay. So first you try to understand what is my fluid and what is my mechanics. Okay. So if I am differentiating the matter, so matter can be classified into two parts. That is my solid and my fluid. And my fluid is further classified into two parts. That is my gas and liquid. So my matter is classified into two parts. That is my solid and my fluid. Okay. And my fluid is further classified into two parts. That is my gas and liquid. Okay. So what is the difference in between the solid and the fluid? So in case of solid, the intermolecular force is more as compared to the fluid. The intermolecular force is the difference in between the solid and the fluid is the intermolecular force is more or high as compared to fluid. In case of fluid, the intermolecular force is very less as compared to the solid. The solid means it has some definite shape and the size, but in case of fluids, it have not definite shape and the size. So according to the definition of the fluid, what is the definition of the fluid? So fluid is a substance which can continuously deforms under the action of the shear force. Whatever the shear force, it doesn't matter. So I am writing down the definition. So fluid is a substance or element which can continuously deforms under the action of the shear force. Whatever the shear force, it doesn't matter. Okay. So fluid is a substance which can continuously deform. If I am applying a force, shear force on a fluid element, then it can continuously deforms due to that particular shear force. The magnitude of shear force, it doesn't matter. It can, when we are applying a force, for example, this is my fluid element and I am applying a shear force in that direction. So it, when the shear force is subjected this element, it starts deforming. Okay. So the magnitude of the shear force, it doesn't matter. But in case of the solid, it has some definite shape and the size. And according to the material property, it can sustain up to a certain limit the shear force magnitude. Okay. So I give you a simple example. For example, I have a duster and I am applying some force on a duster. So up to a certain force, the duster shape and size gets confirmed. but after exceeding that particular force, the shape and the size of the duster maybe changes. Okay, so it depends upon the metal of the solid. So up to a certain limit, it can sustain the force, but in case of fluid, uh, it cannot sustain any force. When the force is subjected to the element, it starts deforming. Okay, so fluid can be further classified into two types, that is my gas and the liquid. In case of liquid and the gas, there is two main difference. The first difference in between the liquid and gas is the intermolecular forces in between the liquid is more as compared to the gas. The intermolecular forces in gases is very negligible amount, whereas in case of liquid, my intermolecular forces is more as compared to the gas. And the second difference generally which is taken into the account, that is my gas is treated as my compressible fluid, and my liquid is treated as incompressible fluid. So what is the difference in between the compressible fluid and incompressible fluid? As the name indicates, when we are applying a force or a pressure, suppose I have a container, and in that container I have some gas, and same container I have a liquid. So if I am applying a pressure on the both containers A and B, suppose I have a two containers, that is my A and B. If I am applying a force or pressure on container A and B is the same magnitude, then what happened? So gas can be compressed, the volume gets decreased due to the pressure, but the container which have the liquid, the volume gets not decreased due to the pressure. It means that when we are applying a force, the gas can be compressible, but liquid can incompressible. Okay, so my gas treated as compressible fluid, while my liquid treated as a incompressible fluid. Okay, so there is a difference in between the gas and the liquid. So in case of fluid mechanics, we studied all the incompressible fluid. So fluid mechanics and the machines is designed for my incompressible fluids. For compressible fluids, we are studying the gas dynamics. Okay, so the laws for the gases and the liquid are different. Okay, the analysis of gases, or you can understand in different manner, that is my analysis of the gases and the liquid are different. The while we are studying the gases, there comes in my gas dynamics. While we are studying the liquid, there comes in me in the fluid mechanics. Okay, so in further, when we are talk about the fluid, it means that we are studying the liquid, not the gases. Okay, so in case of fluid mechanics, when we are talk about the fluid, it means that we are dealing with the incompressible fluid, not for the compressible fluid. Okay. So what is so I think so all of you are able to understand what is my fluid. सो फ्लूइड एक ऐसा सब्सटेंस है जो आपका कंटिन्यूअसली डिफॉर्म करेगा जब उस पर कोई भी शेयर फोर्स आपका अप्लाई होगा. ठीक है, शेयर फोर्स का मैग्नीट्यूड क्या है इट डजेंट मैटर. ठीक है, आपका वो कंटिन्यूअसली हमारा क्या होगा, आपका डिफॉर्म करना स्टार्ट कर देगा जैसे ही उस पर शेयर फोर्स अप्लाई होगा. whenever we are applying the shear force, it continuously starts the deforming. Okay, so what is my mechanics when we are applying a force on a body? So what is the effect of the force of that particular body? If I am studying that thing, that comes under the mechanics. Okay. So what is my fluid mechanics? If I am combining that particular words, both words, fluid mechanics. So what is my fluid mechanics? So fluid mechanics is a branch of science which basically deals with the behavior of the fluids. It may be liquid or it may be gas in case of rest as well as in case of my motion. If my gas fluid is in motion or if my fluid is in rest while we are applying the force, so what is the effect, what is the behavior of fluid? If I am studying these things, so that comes under the fluid mechanics. So fluid mechanics is that branch of science which deals with the behavior of fluids at rest as well as in motion. Okay.